Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode number 68 of CBD Talk Podcast. We've got a couple people with us tonight. So we have with us we have Will Fox, and he has brought with him Mike Taddoni, and Will is with Glow CBD. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, yeah.
Okay, so a lot of times what we'd like to do at the beginning is just find out what is it that brought you into the industry?
Yeah, well, my name's Will, and so we're a small company based out of Albuquerque. So I come from, I guess, the sports world and the athletic world. I'm actually, my day job as a photographer, and I've worked for, I guess my focus has been like mixed martial arts. And so seeing how these bodies are affected by, combat, or even long days of training.
Yeah, because there's no pain in mixed martial arts.
Oh, none. But, just seeing these bodies, you need a good 10 years out of your body for, a good fight career at least. But just seeing and especially as, there's these lingering words of like CTE, brain trauma. So all of the anti-inflammatory, like all these things that CBD, just for years, I just kept hearing CBD. And I guess I was, guilty as all, and just saying, the association with, THC. And that was, and finally, after I got educated, and this was a couple years ago, I got educated, and then just understood that here's, CBD on its own. And then I just started hearing, athletes, recovery, or even like I heard an incredible story with one of my, really good friends. He's so regulated. Like his coach watches his heart rate when he sleeps, the calories that he eats, it's all prepped meals. And behind the scenes through his training practice where his coach is, monitoring everything that's in his body, came out and said, what's different this week than the week before?
Wow.
It was one of those, and this is not one of our articles that we'd ever write because that was not a clinical study.
Right.
It's anecdotal, but still pretty friggin' amazing.
It's a cool story, but we can't write a white paper on it. So, but just hearing like his, how he recovered faster, and coaches, saying, wow, you got more pep this week, and, he was able to sleep better. The inflammation of, just this abuse. So, and that's where I just kind of learned about it. And I knew I wanted to be a part of the healing side, but I wasn't sure how. And then as it evolved, I just ran into like a really good friend that I hadn't seen in years. Like, let's go to lunch. And he just had like this weird, this is a daily story. Man, I just keep, what are your thoughts on the CBD? And I was like, dude, me too. I've been talking about CBD for, and then the next day, it wasn't dude, it's a much more formal than that.
Yes.
It was just like one of these things of, and I was catching up and talking about the combat sports and these bodies that are just getting destroyed. And then we're just like, there's another guy I want to introduce you to. I think there might be something here. And then, that's our other partner. And then after a while I was like, I think we could do something here, but if we do something, we want it to be innovative. And as we've learned, and this was 6 or 8 months ago, but just seeing like how many tinctures are on the market, and we wanted to do something to change the way you can ingest it.
Yeah.
So, and then we linked up with Mike here, we just stumbled into him.
Back alley somewhere? Or?
Yeah, back alley. I've actually known Mike a while, for many years before this. But it was one of those, I was like, dude, don't you work at, like a pharmaceutical something? What do you do? It was one of those things. And it was, the first thing was, well, first of all, do you think you could get CBD through your lab? He's all, no way.
That took some work. Yeah.
So yeah, we decided to come up with a chewable tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And a word that we're not supposed to say, bioavailability, or the way it gets to your body. A chewable tablet is on par with a tincture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And tincture owning, I have no idea how much of the market it owns. I got to say 95%.
I would have to be with you on that. Yeah.
So so we started developing a chewable tablet.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Now, Mike, what brought you into the industry other than Will here saying, "Hey, you got a lab?"
Will kind of dragged me into the CBD industry. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for a long time, a little over 18 years now. But I was also a user of CBD. I beat up my body pretty good most of my life, and now that I'm in my 40s, I'm paying that price,
Yeah, I hear you.
And being in the industry that I'm in, I started looking at, some of the tinctures and the gel caps and stuff that I was taking. And there was a lot of information that was kind of missing from that equation. There wasn't lot numbers. There wasn't, supplement facts panel.
Yeah.
Labeling was very vague, especially at that time. It's gotten a lot better, but so when me and Will started to talk about it, can you do this for us? It was a maybe at first until I could get the company on board, but it had to be at a quality level that we work with at our facility. And it worked really well because that's what these guys wanted anyway.
Yeah.
So it worked out really well.
And that's what we're going to be. That leads into what we're going to talk about tonight on this episode: testing, transparency, and regulations. Now, I've mentioned several times with my company, I actually get to work with the FDA a lot. And so I work with the company I work with. We have a lot of pharmaceuticals and things like that. And so I've always taken a lot of pride in knowing that our manufacturers do testing regularly. FDA tests things. I mean, there's always been a safety factor, and I work with. I mean, I'm in an animal health industry, so it's a little not quite as stringent as a human, but you'd be surprised, very, very stringent. And it was always something that I was like, with the CBD stuff, it's like, gosh, I know it's really a pain in the butt to deal with what we deal with, but we've got to have some regulation. We've got to have, something to protect our consumers. And just last week with Janet from Leafly, the article that she wrote about the university that was testing products, and in one of the products found the main component of cough medicine and spice, K2 spice.
Whoa.
And the CBD. So basically they were adding things, and we don't know what happened, blah, 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 and we never mentioned the name of the company anyway. But what happened is, so this product, what we assume was the purpose, although they said that they didn't put it in there anyway, would be, well, they did admit to putting in melatonin on another batch. So they're adding things to CBD to bring on a feeling, because CBD doesn't really give you like a, it's just not how it works. It's not an intoxicating thing. It's a release, letting go of symptoms. And so they wanted people to feel it. So they added some synthetic marijuana and some cough medicine.
God, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's funny when you mentioned that company. We're very familiar with Leafly and read that article. I think like even the social media profile of that company says, like organic.
Yeah,
it just
it wasn't on the label.
It was on the label, but like their website and all their social media, and that's a company with insane social media push, and it's really sad that at this point when it comes out of the ground as pure as can be, and you have to add a synthetic. That's crazy.
And that's, I hate regulation. I mean, I want everyone to be honest and do things right, but it unfortunately doesn't always happen that way. And so, you hear stories like this frequently, and we either need to find a way to self-regulate, or we are going to have to just fall into the FDA or some other regulation. Right. It's too dangerous to.
And, with our product, it's funny when we talked to, we daydreamed about, like, we had no idea how hard it'd be to make this product.
Right.
And we thought we were at that level. We were thought, like, oh yeah, we got our stuff together. But even like our batch numbers on our isolate weren't matching, and they got kicked out of the lab. And when I say it was shipped to the lab, that means it was shipped directly, and it was checked in. I mean, you could explain the process, but it's checked in at the lab. And I've never touched our isolate. I've never touched I don't put a batch number on. It's everything comes in the shipping door, and it's checked in through regulation, quality control.
Yeah, it can't get through. We can't even receive anything into our inventory system unless there's a couple of basic pieces of information, C of A's and things like that.
Right.
In this case, it was 2 containers that was supposed to have the same lot number, and they didn't, and we just sent everything back.
Yeah, and there's some big players, with the barrels of of CBD and things like that. That there have, like, I remember about 18 months ago, there was some serious stuff going on where things were getting mixed up and people were getting the wrong this and that, and they just didn't have the controls on there, and that's a big thing. But with you getting your product done in a lab that does pharmaceuticals,
right?
The SOPs and just the right way to do things are there. And
as much as we all hate regulation, there's some very clear and definite advantages to it, and things like the SOPs and the C of A's.
Now, do you test it when it comes in also?
Yeah, and not just the CBD. That's all the ingredients. Even if those ingredients come in with a C of A,
they could have gotten mixed up.
Right, exactly. So
and it's
we
happened.
test them for identity. We test them for strength, and most, at that point, what we're most worried about is identity, making sure that it is what it says it is, and it's at the potency that they say it is.
Yeah, it's hugely important.
Right,
It definitely is. But so that's one of the things that we talk about. I mean, there's lots of artisan batch products out there, and they're good products and they're helping people. But when you're going to be doing something on a large scale, and it's just, we have so many really sick people out there, and so just those triple, quadruple quintuple checks that are built into, I mean, the redundancy at your lab for safety, it makes a huge difference. And
especially when you have somebody who's taking medicine for an ailment or for a problem or for something that's already wrong.
Yeah.
You don't want to compound that person's issues with a contaminated product or
right. And and a lot of the smaller shops, they don't have the access, or they just don't, for some reason, test their product when it comes in. They trust the C of A. And and that's the thing, guys, is you're putting your health into people's hands sometimes. As we learned last week with Janet's article, there are bad actors out there, and so we appreciate the Glow CBDs of the world that make it a priority to test, retest, and test again.
Finish good testing. Yeah.
And then disclose the information on the bottle so that it can be tracked if you have a problem in contact.
What I mean, and even like the industry of, and we're not saying, the finished goods or, like even these 20 other things or 63 different tests is what we go through.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, yes, they go with that original COA, but they're not even doing, aside from that, they're not doing yeast, mold, bacteria, heavy metals, pesticides.
Well, now I do have a lot that do the heavy metals and the pesticides.
Okay, good.
Not a lot of the yeast and mold, though.
Metal and pesticides is a requirement in California.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of states are coming up with their own unique.
But the yeast and the molds, I don't hear a lot about that at all, and that is really important.
In our industry, that is bare bones basic.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
We didn't see that necessarily, and that's where I'm saying like the store brands that post one, they just show how much Delta 9 and how much is in theirs, and it's. I mean, if you have the information, please show it. And even just educating people, throughout the process of, it's great to show a good bill of health. Stand on top of the roof and say it.
Right.
We just want to make sure that it's accurate.
And all this compliance and all this stuff comes at a great cost, So if you're going to spend the money to achieve that level of compliance, that's something that's something you want people to see. So that they can share in the value of that product,
And truthfully, when somebody looks at your product, they're going to think Bayer, they're going to think, Bimeda, Seva, whatever. They're going to think pharmaceutical company because it is so precise. Everything is on there properly. It is beyond, I mean, obviously we have no regulations, but it is one of the best, most informative packaging pieces that I have seen.
Right.
And it is definitely on par with the big pharma companies. But it has something in there that's not going to give you the side effects of the big pharma companies. So we like that.
Obviously that the packaging, that was intentional. We wanted a pharmaceutical look, but then to pull it back a little bit, a little bit of foil, have a little bit of fun with it. And it's not that we're an anti-MJ company, but we just, like, our biggest concern is, for the teacher, and this falls out of their purse, or, and it just, vaping, like all these different things, levels of discreetness. We wanted something, and it's something that you could leave in your center console, just something that lasts, and you're not going to be embarrassed if it falls out, or, a lot of these store brands have, they have a big hemp logo on it.
And you know what? I'm 52 years old. I work in a very conservative, billion-dollar corporate kind of company, and I don't necessarily.
You don't want the conversation.
No, well, and I don't.
What is that dropper you're putting in your mouth right now?
Well, and the stereotype, I believe in the power of the plant, definitely, 100%. I think it's an amazing plant. I think we haven't, that the whole cliche, you haven't even scratched the surface. Well, it is so true. Got about 100 cannabinoids in this plant. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got decades of studying to do. But you know what? I don't need to be tied in with a hot box stereotype. You know, somebody's hot boxing. It's like, and I'm just trying to take a 10 milligram freaking chewable CBD. So,
Right.
so I appreciate the level that that you brought your even just your packaging to, and you know, we haven't even talked about the product or
yeah, there's so many companies that, I mean, we literally saw, you know, at a dispensary, CBD made in a crock pot in the back of the dispensary.
Oh.
yeah,
You know, so if you're lucky, your CBD is at least made to the supplement level of compliance, which is really good. Those are the 111 CGMPs, and with our company being OTC Pharma, it's the 210 and 211 compliance. So it's a step above even the supplement level of
right,
compliance.
right, which is just so hugely important.
Yeah.
What so what would you like to see happen with respect to regulations? How, in an ideal world, what, paint that picture for us?
You know, from my experience in my industry, I feel like CBD folks should be shooting for at least that supplement level of compliance. And there's advantages to that aren't just you know, transparency and visibility to the end customer and quality and all that, but it also helps you have a really consistent product.
Yes.
Which in turn creates a very consistent business. So while
Well,
we
it also creates a
regulation,
very consistent efficacy and benefit to your body. Your body doesn't need to be going on a roller coaster with this lot has this percentage and this lot has these other cannabinoids that this one didn't have. You need that consistency.
Yeah, and there's testing that has to be done to even figure that out. You know, we had you know, we claimed 10 milligrams on the tablet or on the bottle. So we had to make sure that each tablet was 10 milligrams, no less. You know, a little bit over is okay, but certainly no less. And so to do that, you know, at another expense, you know, we make sure that the quantity of CBD keeps each one of those tablets above that 10 milligrams or at that 10 milligrams. You know, and
it degrades just naturally too a little bit.
Right. And so, you know, the testing involved in just making sure that, you know, if we're making 100-kilogram batch, how do you make sure every tablet has 10 milligrams in it? So that mixing equipment is validated mixing equipment. You know, very, very expensive testing to make sure. And so whenever we have a new ingredient, in this case CBD, we had to do all that testing all over again to make sure that that ingredient behaves the same as the other ingredients as far as how it's mixed and the consistency throughout that mix. So yeah, we test 20 tablets on each lot.
Yeah.
So
that adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
And again, like, so that's 20 different tests to test how much CBD is in every tablet. So there's a reason why we have almost $10,000 in testing per batch. And it's like, and it's exciting. It's exciting as a brand to pioneer this little area.
It is.
And it's, you know, it's funny, like talking on the regulatory, there is no regulatory, but you know, how many times, you know, other staff members when we're cutting a check for, you know, another couple $1,000s in testing and just saying it's just not fair. But it was just because we want to play at this level. And you know, if the regulation never gets to here, that's fine. And we're happy with, you know, I guess the goal is, you know, when somebody goes to a register at a boutique or, you know, or wherever they purchase it, is, you know, what's the most important thing to you? And if it's rock bottom value, or, you know, look at that
quality,
store, or look at that store brand. If you like that label, you like the label. But if but we're ramping up in even more testing. We're actually testing our product for, we're going to get a seal, but we're going to test for synthetic cannabinoids in every illegal drug under for competitors.
Beautiful.
So that's going to put us at even the next level. And then we're into, the big sports, and I know military will never will never approve this, but it would pass every test.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. And so so you have a website, and I'm guessing if you put in the lot or something, they'd be able to see the tests on it.
Yeah. In the bottom, you'll see it's glowcbd.co/testing.
Oh, okay.
And then I believe it was it Indiana's regulations?
Yeah, you could scan the QR code right on.
I tried my QR code reader didn't like it, but I think I need to download a different QR reader.
Mine works. That's what we did all the testing with, was our phones.
You probably have an Apple, so.
I'm actually Android. I'm an outcast too.
Yeah.
It's the scannable size.
Yeah.
That was another.
Yeah, but even if you can't scan it, if you go to the website and click on the testing link, you just match up your lot number.
Perfect.
Lot that's on there, and it shows the testing. Yeah, that's a huge. That's one that drives me crazy when I'm in the boutiques and stuff. Is so many products that don't even, like, really nice packaging, nice bottle, all that, and there's no lot number on that bottle. So if something were to happen, and
God forbid,
they had to recall that. How do you even recall that? How do you get that out of people's hands? Like, there's no way to do that.
Yeah.
And, we don't ever think that's going to be a problem for us. We're certainly prepared for that.
Yeah, I mean, nobody ever thinks there's going to be a problem. Nobody ever thinks that, there's going to be a 500-year flood, after a 100-year flood the year before. I mean, it's just, we don't think that these things are going to happen, but the fact that you're prepared in case.
Yeah. And it's regulated. You have to be prepared. That's another example of how, the regulations protect the end user.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what did they say? They had more people killed from lettuce this year than some other, statistic. And it's like, lettuce.
Salmonella. Yeah.
Yeah. You never think that you're going to have to recall a head of lettuce. It's but that's wonderful that you guys, the industry's going to get there anyway, and you're already there.
Right.
So it's the idea.
It's so funny, like, just thinking about, like, I even like cringe when I hear like batch number. With our first batch, so we ordered, everything's going, for the lab, they're like, we can't believe you got this done in 6 months, or under 6 months. And they're like, and we're just redlined. There's a couple of us, we like left our day jobs kind of, and we kind of went full time on this. And right towards the end, there was an instance where the lab that we're having our final goods tested at, there was an issue with one of their testing machines, so we had a 4-week delay. So the lab would not release our product to us. And so it sat on a pallet for 4 weeks until they had their final goods test. And that was, and we're just like, listen,
it's not convenient for anybody, right? They want their product. We need our money.
I sent him the worst emails. I was like, he's still my friend.
Right. And it's one of those things. This is, like Will says, this is the fight that they picked,
But, and I was like, listen, you tested the isolate I sent you, the stevia, still organic. I told you exactly what I wanted. We ordered the exact ingredients. You know what's in it. And it was, nope, sorry, final goods not approved. And then 4 weeks later, we get a phone call. Yep, you passed. Yeah. Come get your stuff. We're like, okay.
We have a saying around our office: if it's not on paper, it didn't happen.
And stuff like situations like that, if that local boutique is oh, we our bottles by Friday, heat up the crock pot, mix that leftover batch of isolate. And I'm not saying everybody's like that,
Right.
but stuff that we've seen.
Yeah, no, there are
you know,
some amazing boutique products.
Incredible. And
Yeah.
there's some incredible tinctures out there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
underneath it all, it's all the same thing, but there are some there's some poison in the watering hole.
Yeah.
And you know, we can't cut a corner. We can't do that. And I'm not saying, you know, the top 20, you know, the top brands are at this level for sure. In their or at least their dietary.
We would never jeopardize our company standing with the FDA for any of our customers, you know. So, you know, and we have a very good standing with the FDA. We've had some great inspections. That's why a lot of companies, you know, bigger and smaller, but even bigger than us, come to us because of our level of compliance.
Yeah. No, it's a wonderful thing. And I'm looking forward to more and more companies go in your direction and getting those tests out to the public and not relying on the COAs that the product comes in with the product. I mean,
that's a great start. It's definitely, you know, requiring a C of A. That's a great start, and doing some homework on that. You know, it's not just the C of A's. We have a whole vendor certification program.
It's beautiful.
What we're getting from them, they have to be a certified vendor, and sometimes that's just a questionnaire. Sometimes that's flying across the country for an on-site audit.
Yeah.
So even with all that, again, we still test again, just to make sure. You know, if your mama says she loves you, you get it in writing.
Well, yeah, and it's just too important. You guys, Mike comes from the industry, you know, the pharmaceutical side of the industry, where everything is very, 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 very specific. And knowing that there are CBD products that are being made at the same standard, that's huge. That's just huge. And I love to see that, you know, and I just love that security for the people that really are sick and are using this for their children and for their grandmothers and et cetera, for very sick people with immune problems as it is. And do we need mold in there?
No. Yeah.
So thank you guys for doing it the right way. So, all right. So tell me something that outside of regulations that that you're hoping will happen in 2019 for the industry.
I'm kind of thinking, you know, just more accepted at, you know, the Whole Foods or a CVS pharmacy. I think with the Farm Bill coming on board, it's only a matter of time. And then even Amazon. But at the same time, there's so much garbage on Amazon. There are hemp oil brands that are sneaking on there.
And that's something that I want to see change. I want people, we need the FDA to get on board. I want people to be able to disclose which cannabinoids are in the product. Right now, they're saying just full spectrum hemp extract oil. That's not what we need to see.
Right. Well, and a lot of that too, you see a lot of companies doing weird stuff with their labeling, where they're afraid to put CBD on their labeling.
Exactly.
There's this kind of misnomer that flies through the industry that, well, just don't put CBD on your label and then you're covered. Well, someone at the FDA can turn a bottle around and see CBD on the back. You know, you can get in a lot
Oh, no, there's some that aren't even putting CBD on the back.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have a lot more problems when they find out you're hiding CBD in your product than openly labeling what's on the product with compliant labeling, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my observation of that. And I'm sure, you know, a cannabis lawyer would argue with me and give me a million different reasons why you shouldn't put it on the label. But someone who works.
Well, the lawyer is
FDA.
Yeah. The lawyer's job is to try to protect his client. Right. But unless they have dealt with the FDA before. I just don't know that legalese is going to protect them. So
Right.
But I think that my hope is that that by summer the FDA will come out with. I'm hoping to put it under a supplement, type of deal, like you were saying, to have that standard in there. Because I don't want it to get too over-regulated. I don't want it to be like a penicillin, for God's sakes.
Right.
I mean, we want something over the counter, and because it is incredibly safe. You're not going to OD on CBD, and I just I want some sort of regulations, but I don't want it to choke the industry either. But there's just too much at risk. We need to be able to know that what we're buying is pure. So
we need to see the whole industry move in that direction to bring some more legitimacy to it. The whole rising tide raises many ships thing. To see folks in the industry come together, and I think with a lot more roundtables that are starting to develop, we're going to start seeing a lot more of that this coming year, I'm sure. So
yeah, I think the Farm Bill is gonna be very helpful. But the other thing that needs to stop being weird is the banking around it. There should be nothing that makes CBD banking with CBD product companies different than someone who's making a hat.
Even after the Farm Bill, you're starting to see stuff slowly change, but it wasn't this big, like the next day rush that they thought was going to happen when the Farm Bill passed with the, merchant processors and banking and stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, I had a Spotify account get cut off just a few days, just like a week ago. After here in January, I have a small company, and we just work with people that are on disability and on Medicaid and disabled vets. So we were able to get them really affordable stuff from vendors like you that partner. But yeah, we had a Spotify account get kicked off. I'm like, Farm Bill, people, it's after January 1st. What the heck? I'm like, gosh. So it makes it hard to help people. So
it's been really interesting. Like, as things progress, whether it's advertising, whether it's like Google, basic marketing, marketing 101,
Facebook, Google,
they're pretty hesitant. But it's funny that when on the topic of banking, it took us almost 10 weeks to get we had a guy a partner full-time chasing, we had 7 or 8 different credit apps in, and it was just the runaround. And so it took almost 10 weeks, and it's just chaos. And, behind the scenes, we're like, you know what, we might get the product, but we might not have merchant service. And behind, while we're sending a forked tongue email to the lab, we couldn't even take in $1. So
yeah.
Don't tell them.
Too late.
They might not rush the next batch. But it was always, and that kind of made this whole project exciting. Like opening our email the next morning and just hearing another thing of the lab needed, another COA, or even turning down. We've sent them. We're thinking about using isolate from another company. What do you think about this company? We jump on a conference call, and Mike asks a basic question, says, great, what are your SOPs? And they're like, SOPs for making isolate? And we're like,
how do you make sure you make it the same way every time?
And,
like, what are the pressures on extraction?
And it was just basic stuff of how is it working? How's, times. And it was the curiosity. We're all curious too. And they were just like, oh no, we just got 2 guys. They're just so good at it. They just make it just right. And we're like, okay.
And thanks for your time.
Yeah, we quickly got off the phone. And it's just because we need it so consistent. And again, when it goes through this tablet press to make these tablets perfect, compressed too hard, you're going to say it's an Altoid. It's too soft, you're going to get a bottle of a bunch of powder. So just right, you have to have everything behave absolutely consistent.
Yeah, it has to be really consistent because it's got to flow through the hopper before it can even be compressed, you know. And if it doesn't flow through that hopper, then the weights are going to fluctuate and the thickness is going to fluctuate, and it's just this, you know, waterfall of problems that happen if that product isn't consistent and has a consistent crystal size and things like that.
And that's something we just take for advantage in the pharmaceutical side. We just take advantage of every single aspirin has the same amount of, you know, whatever in it. But on the CBD side, people just don't think about it, I don't think, as much.
Yeah, well, people love to go, you know, everybody likes to call it medicine, you know, and it's definitely medicine, but it's a little tougher to walk that walk, I think, sometimes, and actually treat it like a medicine and manufacture it like a medicine and make it consistent like.
Well, that's because it takes a lot of money to do that. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about your chewables.
Yeah.
So I was telling Will and Mike before the show today. I got a bottle in the mail of their product, and so I took it to the office with me, and it was one of those mornings that it was just like, I woke up, wrong side of the bed, get up on the same side every day, but for some reason that side was the wrong side today. And when I woke up, I already had a headache. I get the migraines are like on one side of your face, and the face starts going numb, and you start losing depth perception and stuff, and everything's all tingly. I'm like, Jesus, this is not going to be a good day. So, and I dropped my keys in between the console and the seat of the car. So I was like,
French fries.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going through. So I hadn't even started the car yet, and as I was doing that, for some reason it clicked in my mind. Oh, you got to check the mail because Glow was sending you some product to try. I was like, oh, geez. So I was like, all right. So I grabbed the keys, went, got the mail, and started. I had a couple of the chewables on the way in. Now the chewables are 10 milligrams per milliliter, and
Per tablet.
Oh, per tablet. Sorry, per tablet.
Everybody's used to talking about liquid.
I know.
It's not you.
But per tablet, and so I took a couple on the way in. It's like, all right, I don't want to throat punch anybody right now, so that's good. Feeling a little bit better. And so I got into the office. By the time I got, just about a half an hour drive, by the time I got into my office and up the elevator and to my desk and everything, it's like, okay, yeah, still I had some pain and stuff going on, but I didn't reach for the pain pills. So by this time it was, you know, I'd been up for several hours, and so just kind of forgot about it, started doing my work, and then a couple hours later took a couple more because I take a certain amount every day, but if I get breakthrough problems, because I have a genetic defect thing, so if I get breakthrough problems, then I like being able to have something to add on. And up until today, it's always been a tincture, but now I got another option. So I took a couple more, and then by the time the day was, you know, by the time it was after lunchtime, it was gone. And I appreciate that 40 milligrams, 4 chewables, rather than a Vicodin. Hey, all day, any day.
You can still drive home.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the numbness started going away pretty quickly. The tingling and my vision came back, and you know, just during the day, and what a lot of people, you know, new people don't understand, and this is why we talk about what happened on the story last week, where people are adding things to CBD so that you can feel it. In some cases, you don't feel it kick in. It's just all of a sudden it's like, I don't hurt as much, or
it's what you don't feel more than what you do feel. Yeah.
Exactly. And so when the migraine just floats away, it's a nice thing. So I I can tell you guys, it's a good product.
Happy to give it that.
Throughout all it, earlier on in the production, we got like a couple samples, and we were able to kind of give them, we're going around with bags and these mock labels that we inkjet printed, and we'd go to like a restaurant and say, which one of these do you like, and then try the flavors. And some of the early flavors that these guys made were
it was new to everybody, to make these. So we tried a few different flavors and different levels of flavoring. And it's funny, not that long ago, we kind of revisited that first draft of R&D, and they were rough.
And
there's that bitterness anyway that comes.
So the way the tablet tastes now, we actually wanted to keep a little bit of flavor in, a little bit of CBD flavor, like that medicine, the placebo effect, because we didn't want 100%. We could have made this thing taste,
like
full,
pure candy. With
you don't want that.
And garbage.
But we did go with like a light stevia, a little,
a little sweetness.
Yeah, a little bit of sweetness, and it is elderberry flavored, so it has like a little bit. But we really wanted that kind of that lasting taste. Like you will, 5 minutes later, it'll be like, oh yeah, there's something on my tongue. There's a little bit still there. And so, you just take a little drink of water. If it really bothers you. But we wanted to keep that little bit, so you're remembering 5 minutes from now that you just took it.
Yeah. And so you don't eat the whole freaking bottle.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. It doesn't work. Yum, 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 yum.
And with too much flavoring, you start popping them like candy.
Yeah. That's a problem that I have with there's a company called Restorative Botanicals in northern Colorado, and they have the Boulder caramel, and there's 10 milligrams in each caramel. Each caramel's $1, but man, I can put away some caramel. So we do not want it to taste like that, because then all of a sudden my feet aren't touching the ground because I'm feeling really like, wow, I have no pain.
But yeah, it's been interesting because we do fit in the market, like kind of we're on par with a tincture with, the way it gets into your bloodstream. But then we think we're down into like the edibles and gummy bears, especially when you're talking about sugar. When it comes to children or, diabetics, sugar is the devil.
Or people with Alzheimer's, dementia, autism.
You
Parkinson's,
don't want that sugar.
and even like Parkinson's, a lot, with tremors, tincture in your mouth.
Yeah. But the thing is with the pleasant taste that you have, it's not as much of a fight.
Right.
When you have, like, because my mother has Alzheimer's, and she will not take a tincture. It just won't happen. You don't have to have that conversation with a child or an adult with autism.
Right.
They don't like it. They're not going to do it. And the bigger they get, the harder it is to get them to do what you want them to do. So that's what's so great, is that you've got a great product with easy dosing, because each one's 10 milligrams. That's what it is. The taste is not a barrier, and it's not filled with things that our bodies just really don't need. Just because I want it doesn't mean it needs it. So
it's all stuff you can pronounce.
Yeah,
as far as the ingredients go.
That's good. And another, a sneaky one. You mentioned your mom. People with assisted living. We've heard some of our best success stories for people in assisted living. Where the grandson, the grandchildren are interested in giving grandmother an exact dose. And a lot of these places that aren't open to some of these things of like, I need you to put 10 drops under the tongue of my grandmother. I don't know if that's really going to happen.
No.
I know that 2 tablets in their morning,
you can throw it right in the pill box.
2 in there, and preferably if they chew them, but if not, it'd go in their stomach and dissolve in 5 minutes anyways. When it goes in the mouth is much better.
What do you think was the most surprising thing about, from when you started the product until you found out that you had something that actually helped somebody? Like what was your like your kind of aha, oh my God, this is actually doing what we wanted it to do type of deal?
To be honest, I can't really pinpoint one thing. I mean, we're pretty numb because there's been so many success stories and just wild. Is when you're dealing with kids with autism,
Yeah.
things that I cannot comprehend, and just close families that we say, hey, just try this, and the children change. They're able to communicate better.
That was the big one for me.
And,
Was the story of someone that we gave a sample to, who gave it to their autistic child, and the immediate result of eye contact that hasn't happened in 10 or 12 years, being able to actually have a conversation with their kid who they haven't had, who hasn't held their gaze in a conversation in ages. Hearing that was the one that really kind of floored me. That was like, okay, we're doing something.
He showed us
cool.
a text message at lunch, and there wasn't one staff member that wasn't like,
there's no dry eyes.
Yeah. I'm not crying. You're crying.
Right. But it was one of those things of, we go through a day of regulatory or, bad emails, or we got just the excitement of starting a business and just that stuff. And then every week we'd get a story like this. There's a UFC fighter that we work with. And I'll say his name is Lando Bonata, young guy. And there was a story that he told. We're gonna probably do like a video piece with him because it's such an amazing story to us. I mean, just so close to the family, the tribe.
Yeah.
But he said that like since he's been taking CBD, there were some things in his like OCDs and obsessions throughout his whole life that he's had for 10 years. And since he's been daily taking the product, he's like, I just thought that was a part of my life, but now I'm fully functional, and that's not on his mind. He didn't necessarily dive in and tell exactly what it was. But he's like, I need this every day of my life. So he's the guy that, every other week or every week or so, like he's like, I need you to ship another one to another package to my dad, all his family.
He's Glow's best unpaid promoter.
Yeah. But really, like, even like his text messages coming and just hearing, we just share them around the group, and it's like, dig deep, guys. We gotta make this work.
Yeah. You're changing person by person. You're changing lives.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we made it out of the woods. But our issue, I guess it's like telling the story. Because when we say we don't talk, we get along with a couple like incredible local boutiques. In New Mexico, actually, our boutiques and dispensaries are separate. That's a regulatory issue.
Yeah, it's a state rule.
Yeah, it's a state rule. So now that a lot of our dispensaries split, and so they have, they might have an adjoining room. But yeah, it's I remember where I was going with that.
Yeah, dispensaries can't sell the CBD.
Right.
Because it's not tracked seed to stale like the cannabis side is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what was happening in Colorado, and they finally started to work around that a little bit. But yeah, so you're talking about how you're out of the woods now.
Yeah. I guess like my tone was like when we go into our local boutique and show them our product, they're a little bit skeptical, and I mean, I guess it's our delivery process, and we try not to walk in there with lab coats, and we try to be like, hey, by the way, like if you want to go to the next level with an isolate, let's say a law enforcement or a school teacher, or somebody that's heavily tested, like 90% of the working force,
government employees.
Yeah, government employees. Like, if testing is important to you, I suggest you try this product over here. But if so us telling that story has been difficult for us. But when it comes to like independent pharmacies or anybody with an MD, or these doctors are that's what's flooding our inbox, because
they know the story
now that we're at that level, and when they prescribe it to and they have it in their for them, because they're on the, it's hard for them to prescribe a tincture.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think
gummy bears don't last in the pharmacy.
Well, I just think that we're used to taking, or the general public is used to taking things in a certain way, and also there are a lot of babies like me who's like, oh, that tastes like grass. Ew, that doesn't taste good. So
yeah, I'm not a fan of the taste of most of it.
I know. I take it anyway.
Up to this point,
yeah, because I'm used to it now. But yeah, I mean, if you can get same efficacy in a different method, I mean, why would the doctor want to fight that battle anyway? I mean, seriously, you could take a tincture, you could get the syringe, pull out 1 milliliter, and there's your measurement. But it's messy. It's not convenient. I can't stick it in my purse.
Did you shake the bottle?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that for the medical side, the capsules and the chewables and things, I think it's a wonderful thing. And the capsules, you got to swallow, they got to digest and stuff. With yours, with your chewable, you just chew it up. It dissolves in your mouth. Wham, bam, thank you, man. We got it. So
and it is kind of, I mean, we have a lot of personal confidence that it just, as our message, gets out, it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting to look back at this video too. But looking at, like, again, going to like a local boutique, we get beat up. Like, we get beat up, and we're actually cheaper than those gummies, all those edibles, and that tincture. But and then look at all this testing. Look at all these sheets. Look at this notebook of stuff of SOP. Like, look at all this stuff. And so, actually, kind of behind the scenes, we have been educating a couple people.
That's beautiful.
And even almost, I haven't quite volunteered them yet, but, of just, figuring out like how to like raise the level.
I think you need to do a video series.
Yeah, we would love to. We're actually going to start speaking at, some local, I guess we're going to be grouped in with some of like the cannabis groups.
So Cannabis Expo coming up.
Yeah, Cannabis Expos. And
good.
But we'll, in edible, we'll talk more on like the edible side. And
okay, so speaking of your edibles,
yes,
I'm guessing at some point you're going to have a 60 count bottle.
Yes, that's the plan.
And then,
yeah.
And then what's the next product coming down the pike?
We're kind of on a fence.
Couple in R&D.
Yeah, there's a couple in R&D. Looking at like some sprays possibly. Water soluble seems to be a pretty hot
Water soluble is nice. There are a couple good water soluble products out there that I think are amazing. Just to be able to like the Mio drops, just be able to take a flavorless and drop it in my
your water, your tea.
We've requested a whole bunch of samples, and
I've been working with them.
Yeah, and it's the expense of working with a water soluble. The idea of kind of getting to like a less expensive spray that, but I was like, man, now we're going to water soluble, and there's no way that we can do I was like, man, like at this level, but we're trying. We're going to do that. We're going to a couple different things, just additives to drinks and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's what I want. I like the additives to the drinks. So being able to put
we don't
CBD.
Want to ship water.
No. I've seen a lot of them that are in like kind of like tincture bottles, but they're actual, just to add. I've seen some where you squeeze drops in. I think that's. But then the taste. You gotta make sure that.
Right. Yeah, there's the taste with the water solubles, and then there's quality levels too from the samples that we've seen so far. Some of them have a ton of additives in there with them that make them water soluble that aren't even close to natural. And then there's some folks making some really natural, really neat products too. So,
but then you've got the consistency, which is what you guys are so good at.
Right. And we gotta find the best raw material possible. We have a lot weed through, just like, the process of creating the tablet. We tasted and tried a bunch of different things, and
But that's behind you. You guys need a new challenge.
right, exactly.
You
Yeah.
got that
So
now.
that's part of the new product process as well. Is making sure that whatever direction we decide to go in as far as delivery method, that it's got the same level of quality, the same level of consistencies, that it's not, full of garbage that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. So if you had, last words here. If you could get a message across to somebody about CBD, what is it that you want them to really be thinking about, or what do you want to leave them with as your parting words?
I think I'm going to probably overlay into Mike's. I'm not sure, but I think it's just when you see a test or you see a batch number, dive into that batch number. And I see a lot of companies that will say, please email for testing. I think that should be full disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, but you might get a nice handshake and they might explain, well, what are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
There's that. But just showing, just showing what you have inside there. And then I think the next level of testing, that everything should almost be on the same playing field. And I understand that, these local farms, it's organic, it comes, but to be on the same level, you have to go through all the same testing. And was that even tested for yeast, mold, and bacteria,
Mm-hmm.
pesticides?
Yeah, because you can get blowover too.
Right.
It's not that they're using pesticides; it's that the people next to them are using pesticides.
And it just testing's probably
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's going to change the industry. And if let's just keep the synthetic people out. There's enough hemp to go around.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's about to be a lot more.
Yeah, mine would be pretty similar to Will's. If I could, just it's an amazing product, but definitely do your due diligence and make sure you're putting a quality product in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Most people that are turning to CBD, it's because they don't want to put garbage in their body. So just do a little research, and it shouldn't be difficult. You shouldn't have to flip over too many stones to find out the level of quality that you're getting with your CBD product. A bare bones basic start is, take a look. Is there a lot number on that bottle?
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any way that you can actually identify which test this goes to? Yeah. No, that's beautiful. I truly like the transparency. You just go to the website. It's there. You have a bottle. There it is.
It's crazy that it's even a conversation that, like, are you in business? Like,
why wouldn't you want them?
All these little things, and stand at the top of your roof and yell how pure it is. It's just sad that this is a conversation. But testing isn't cheap, and I get it. But if you want to play, do it.
Yeah. And that's true. It's not. I think really, I've had a lot of people tell me that the testing up until just recently wasn't very accurate. Now you guys are in a certain type of lab.
Right.
Your testing is different than some of the stuff you see out there.
We still saw a ton of discrepancies in some of our tests earlier on.
Yeah, we went through 4 labs before we were happy with the consistency of the results that we were seeing. So just like the CBD industry being kind of in its infancy, there isn't any labs that are specific to CBD. You're bringing your product to a cannabis lab that's used to testing for very different things. What's their level of compliance? What are their SOPs? How are they cleaning between runs? He
beat them up bad. I mean, like, I need to see the lab. Because we got this one test back from somebody, and again, we're from an isolate, and there was so much THC in it, and this was one of our 4-week batches, and you should have seen our faces, because he's like, well, we can't sell, you know, they're like, they're going to put it in an incinerator. They're going to burn it all. What's happening? That's like, oh my God. And so we sent it off to, and then he sent some crazy email, like, what's your validation process? What's your, like, where are you guys at? And they sent us a test back the next day, and it was like proper. And we sent it on to like, we were like, okay, that was weird. So we sent it on, then we dug up 3 other labs.
Another lab to verify the results from the lab that we thought was better than the first one.
Yeah.
And at first, I thought it was just like a weird thing that we were experiencing, but other people in the industry have experienced similar things with dealing with some of the labs.
But now, do you have any way to do any testing in your own lab? I mean, just to kind of say, yeah, this is kind of where we think this is going to fall into play, you know, like the numbers?
Everything is tested before, so we'll do a full cannabinoid test.
In-house?
Full panel cannabinoid, not in-house, but on the isolate before it's ever put into anything, you know? So that test is done, but we don't do cannabinoid testing in our lab in-house because we've never done anything, you know, with a supplement or a CBD product. So everything that we do in our lab is, you know, the yeast, mold, bacteria, the friability, disintegration, extraneous testing.
Mike, you might want to think that, you know, there's a lot of CBD stuff happening. Your lab might, at some point, might want to.
Yeah.
And that may be.
I don't think it's going away, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that may be very possible. The equipment is not cheap.
I know.
You know, but yeah, in the absence of being able to do that ourselves, we do a lot of research. We didn't just jump on the first lab.
No, yeah, I completely understand that.
Then there's also we're not making the goat the gardener either by having a third party lab do the testing as well. You know, so that
I'm not saying you don't do the third party testing. I'm just saying that it's sometimes kind of nice to know going into it, like, so that you can have something to refer to of your own going, yeah, you guys are wrong. I know that. So like we were talking about on one of the episodes about how the farming industry is trying to catch up with all the manufacturing. I mean, with all the threshers and this and that and the other, to be able to bring in the harvest, because you can't use corn harvesters for hemp crops. So I just foresee for whoever is building all this stuff on the manufacturing side, there's got to be a mid-level test thing. There's got to be, like, for even for consumers, if you got a 16-year-old kid who was able to create a cancer test for 16 cents per thing, 5 years ago, where's that kid? Where are those geniuses for people who want to test their own product, or people who want to grow their own product and know what it is? There's got to be some in between space there.
Yeah, and the pricing on the testing, for like a basic cannabinoid panel, actually, that pricing has come down quite a bit now that there's a few more labs and things are getting a little bit more competitive. Some of the basic testing, Joe Schmo could probably afford to carry in his homegrown stuff into a lab somewhere and get some basic information on it.
There was also, so we're based in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, and actually in New Mexico we were not able to find a heavy metals testing, I believe. So to be 50 state legal, California requires
heavy metals and pesticides.
So we had to send a second batch to and this was our final goods, we had to send to California
for the finished good testing.
It'd be nice. I bet there's I'm sure there's, actually I've seen some basic testing kits.
You have?
Yeah, I can't remember. If I find them, I'll send you a couple links, because there was, I think it was it's a cheaper, maybe it's a couple $100. I think it's just for testing flour.
Okay. Yeah. All right. It's just, it's going to have to get less expensive. The machinery is going to have to And maybe
Oh,
with
yeah.
economies of scale, maybe the
But
price.
we weren't as scared, it's the validation of a third party. So
Yeah.
obviously we had to, but yeah, it'd be great if it wasn't this big lab coat issue. You stop by and sit in the waiting room and get a test done.
That'd be nice.
It's never an overnight thing. But again, because a lot of these labs are MJ, they're hammered. These labs are really busy, so
Yeah.
it takes a little while to get.
There's always something in the industry where there is a need for more people and more companies. And so if people are like, oh no, it's too late to get into the industry. Oh boy, it is so not too late. There's a huge need for people. So all right, well, I am again, grateful for companies like yours, and we've had several on that actually do put safety first. And truly, this has got to become the standard. And so you guys can kind of kick it a little bit while everyone's catching up with you. But well,
Never rest.
yeah, that's not going to happen. Well, let us know when you come up with your next product. We're really excited, and we'll put your website in the show notes and everything at glowcbd.co, not com.
Right.
Not that I did that.
Right.
But,
And then slash testing if you want to see what testing.
Yeah.
We didn't go over and above. I guess we did. We showed what we were supposed to. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus most others.
Yeah.
Have the original batch.
Yeah. They have that one where it came off, off the tree. That's the bush. That's the test that they're showing you, and it's been through 5 different hands since then. And
yeah, when it's a picture of the isolate, that's not your finished product. That's not your and then also conformity is also important too, of knowing how much is in each drop, and if you are comparing it to a tincture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just paying attention. And again, I'm just saying catering to 95% of look at the photo that they're using. That's important. So yeah, ours has a little tablet. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, like this is what we tested.
Yeah.
Fabulous. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for your time. Please get in touch when you're doing something else, or if you've got some other regulatory type of thing to share with us.
We'll have some big news, and probably in a week or two that we'll definitely share with you.
Well, why the heck did we do this now then?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I'm looking forward to finding out what that is. So, okay. Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. And until the next episode, stay happy and stay healthy.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.